Yeah, today is to put it mildly, a pretty horrible news day. The Supreme Court of the United States of America has made it an ongoing decision, I guess, to just drop all of their worst decisions at the end of their not legislative, judicial session. It's a real clusterfuck, and I don't feel ready to tackle all of that in depth because I'm not a legal expert. I'm gonna take some time over the weekend to kind of like try and figure out exactly what all of this means. Um, but it's bad. It is bad. Um, Taking an upper decker on the Constitution before fucking off for vacation. I mean, I have to like how do I put it? There is like a small possibility of a silver lining to all of the decisions that I've seen so far and what I have been able to like ascertain about them. Um, and it seems like the minor victories we have to really to maybe hang some not legislative, legal hopes on would be that it did still give lower courts some ability to curtail actions. Some, not a lot. And the other silver lining is that there's going to be a shit ton of legislation. Not legislation. I keep using legislation. Jesus Christ. Judicial happenings, cases making their way to the Supreme Court. They're going to be busy as fuck. And there's also some small demonstration by Justice Roberts, slim as it may be, that he has been routinely kicking the can down the road. Litigation, that is what I'm trying to say, Werix. Thank you. But he's been kicking the can down the road, and in his own really incredibly, impossibly stupid way, not fully capitulating, which is cold comfort, but it is truly heinous shit in the latest round of rulings. I mean, like, genuinely, what I need to see from like the Democratic establishment at this point, or Democrats in general, is like an explicit, hey, we're going to fix this, because this is not a functional court. This isn't a functional like check or balance. This is nonsense. You know, like the Supreme Court of the United States just a couple years ago said, well, whoa, Joe Biden, a president can't just unilaterally provide student debt relief. That's a step too far. The Constitution forbids it. And literally, we have Donald Trump putting out executive orders trying to strip birthright citizenship, and they're like, well, you know, we don't know about that. We're not really gonna rule on that at all. We're just gonna say, you know, it can go into effect for anyone who doesn't file a case, which is fucking nuts. It's just fucking nuts. Like, the entire premise is, well, you can have rights if you file a court case, and that is untenable. That is untenable law, and it goes directly against the explicit text of the Constitution. And there's no precedent for it. There's nothing there, but like genuinely, at this point, like, if you're in a blue state, you have some measure of protection here. If you're in a red state, things just got exponentially scarier for you, you know? And it's terrifying. That's insane and would clog the court system. That's exactly what's going to happen. And like, it's not tenable what is happening right now. And we need like explicitly the Democrats to run on a platform of like unfucking the courts. And genuinely, maybe that, and this is just like a rough idea, maybe that process involves creating explicit governmental bodies that are designed to be nonpartisan, hands-off, parts of the legislative branch that have the sole purpose of investigating, corruption on the courts, corruption in the federal branch. Like, there needs to be some kind of actual watchdog with teeth that is capable of holding these people to account. Because what's insane is that they went out there today, dropped the biggest fucking deuce on the Constitution in US history, and most of them, at least 6 of them, are probably like boarding private jets and getting on yachts with billionaires by now. It's nonsense. And then they pretend like, oh, well, we're just really good friends with billionaires. There's no quid pro quo here. We just get millions of dollars for them. And, that's not going to color our decision making on the court. It's nuts. This is an untenable system. Everyone in the United States should sue the government. It'd be honestly, like, it's kind of getting to the point where, like, you might just as a matter of course need to file a lawsuit against the US government just to have basic human rights. Barrett was with the dissenting liberals. Nope. Barrett, Amy Coney Barrett, I believe I still need to dig my teeth into all of the decisions today, but she ruled with the other conservative justices. It's so bad that literally the dissenting liberal justices in like half the orders that came down today were like, yeah, this is a threat to the very concept of like America, and in all good conscience, I cannot be a part of this. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad. I think they had a threatening talk with her. It seems very uncharacteristic. She's a conservative, guys. Like, she's been ruling on some like pretty severe things alongside the liberal justices in a handful of cases. She's still very much a conservative. She don't forget, she's part of like a fundamentalist Christian cult. Okay, like, she's not like, she hasn't like switched sides and become like a good guy here. Okay, she's never been on our side. The surprising thing was that she was siding with the liberal justices at all on anything. That's what took people by surprise. Well, and Jess, I given how the court has ruled so far, the ruling would indicate if you are a truck driver from California, but for work you go into a red state and you get pulled over, you aren't operating under California law anymore. It kind of like how if a police officer pulls you over in like a different state, you should be following that state's driving laws. In this case, like, that's what makes the patchwork approach so scary. It's really not good. But immigration is a federal issue and not a state one. That's just insane. Yeah, but I would guess that like states might be the first step of like verifying citizenship. I genuinely, again, this is why I need to look more into the issue, because I am not entirely sure how that chain goes. Yeah, shoot bang. There is an element to this that has been, I think, very under discussed, and it is the fact that, I know that we all know, and we're all on the same page about Republicans by and large, as a result of the Southern strategy, that developed under Nixon, have been radicalized towards, this idea of white supremacy, right? Growing out of a feeling of, disillusionment following the loss on segregation. And what I think we need to talk about more, and I'll be putting more emphasis on, is the fact that this is effectively the South will rise again. When Confederates talk about that, when people who stand for the Confederacy talk about that, that's what's happening right now. There was a news story today, and again, like a blip in the ocean of news that just keeps washing over us, about Pete Hegseth instituting new standards for soldiers, specifically that discriminate against African American soldiers. in order to kick them out of the military. And this hasn't really been talked about in great detail, but basically there is a condition that predominantly affects African Americans regarding shaving, where some African Americans, when they shave, they have like a predisposition to like have their hair come out and then grow back into the skin. And that can cause some pretty awful health problems. But Pete Hegseth wants to institute a mandatory shaving regimen for soldiers so that all soldiers are clean shaven. And this would essentially mean that either the Pentagon has to pay for laser hair removal, you know, odd that perhaps they'd be willing to consider that for cis soldiers and not trans ones, but yeah. Or they just kick black people out of the military. So what I mean, like you can like start putting some of these different pieces together here, but like there are basically a bunch of policies and regulations and rules that are being implemented across the board in various different ways and at various different levels that are designed to reinforce white supremacy. They are designed to bring back the time of Jim Crow. They are designed to re-enslave non-white Americans and people who happen to be here. And I think that we lose something if we aren't openly talking about the fact that what is happening here is a reassertion of the fucking Confederacy. You know, maybe you'd consider it a soft reassertion, but like it's really we need to call a spade here, right? Like that's what's happening. The legislation that is coming out, in the big beautiful bill, the policies that are being implemented, the laws that are being ruled on by the Supreme Court, all of it is kind of reconstructing a states' rights patchwork mentality that is not sustainable and sets us up for a very large collision when it comes to, you know, that entire bag of worms. And like, we all know how it went down last time. I had a huge problem with this in basic, wasn't able to get a shaving profile until AIT. And then at DLI, docs denied the renewal of that profile and ended up having to slice my face up for 3 years. Damn, I'm sorry to hear that, Zach. I mean, that Harlan Crow guy was a neo-confederate, wasn't he? Exactly, yes! He literally has a room full of Hitler memorabilia. Dude's a fucking Nazi. And he's like whining and dining the conservative members of the Supreme Court. It's nuts. When I talk about how after we inevitably win, and we will, there is going to need to be some accountability, some reassertion of what is just and good in this country. And like, it needs to start with the people at the top of the power structures.
Celebrating Mom Donnie good news with good news of my own. Boyfriend and I are finally moving into our first apartment. No more parents around. Hey.
Hell yeah, SSV Cloud. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And congrats on the new apartment. Hell yeah. Honestly, we need a new Nuremberg, I think. I mean, I'm absolutely not opposed to that. Yeah, it is the failure of Reconstruction. Absolutely, shoot bang. Hello, Ashley. All right. That wasn't intended to be a segment, but I think it was a pretty decent one if it is. So I'm hitting that button.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.